Let's say you've got yourself a $60,000 budget to spend on a new compact executive car. You could go and get yourself a base model BMW 330i, or you could get a base model Mercedes-Benz C300. You have to spend a little bit more than that 60 grand price point, or you can go with the true no-brainer, the obvious choice in this segment, this 2024 Genesis G70 2.5 Turbo Prestige all-wheel drive. Now, before we dive into this car, I want to invite you to subscribe to PRN Test Drive, as it helps us grow our channel. Like the video, hit the notifications to get instant access to our latest videos and everything else that we're doing here on PRN Test Drive. Now, as I mentioned, $58,000 is the as-tested price for this vehicle. It is very affordable, $44,850 in the US. It comes with the new for 2024 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. This was available last year in the Korean market. You get 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. That's about 50 horsepower and torque more over the 2-liter engine that this replaces. Now, since we featured the G70 last, it has had a facelift. It looks a lot more like the large G90 or the midsize G80. This looks really good. The only real difference between this and the larger vehicles are the integrated turn signals on the front fenders. They're built into the mirrors here instead of being on the side of the car, but I think that this is a fantastic looking vehicle, especially without a front plate. Now, this one comes extremely well equipped. I mean, you've got everything that you ultimately need on this vehicle, including heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear outboard seats, navigation, 360 camera, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, blind spot monitor with the blind view monitor. Those are the cameras that turn on when you turn on your turn signals, a automatic rear trunk. I mean, pretty much everything that you could want on this vehicle comes at this price point. You could go up to the Sport. That would give you, obviously, the 3.3 liter V6 engine, but you also get a head-up display, 12.3 inch driver information screen, as well as the Sport-tuned suspension and limited slip differential. But let's backtrack a little bit. I've made a very bold claim in saying that this really is the no-brainer choice in this segment. So let's back that up. $58,000 Canadian, $44,850 in the US gets you an extremely well-equipped Genesis G70, a 2024 BMW 330i with delivery, absolute base model, no options, no paint color, $58,780 Canadian. So already $780 more. It only has a 2-liter turbocharged engine producing 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. So the Genesis has more power. If you were to get a similar build, now you can't get it exact, but if you were to add on a lot of the features that this car has, the BMW would cost closer to $70,730 Canadian. How about the Mercedes-Benz C300 4MATIC? That starts at $61,000 for the base of the base when it comes to that vehicle. It also uses a 2-liter engine producing 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It seems like that's what the Germans want to produce. If you were to get a similar build in the Mercedes C300, you would be spending $73,710. Now, those are not exact. We're taking blue exterior, trying to get leather interior, because the Genesis G70 here is a proper Napa leather interior, whereas the 3 Series and C-Class are all synthetic leather, unless you spend several $1,000s to get the full leather. But then even those wouldn't have all the exact features. They might have a couple things more, a couple things less, just because the way they package those vehicles means that you would get things that this Genesis G70 doesn't have. So you're spending a whole lot more. If you were to spend $70,000, or if that's your budget, $70,000 for a car, 58 grand for this, you could get the best warranty money has to offer, scheduled maintenance for the entire length of that warranty, as well as gas for the entire ownership. I mean, it just makes sense to drive this vehicle. But I understand what you're saying. Niall, it's fine that it's on paper that it's better, but how does it drive? Let's go find out. All right, we're on the road with the Genesis G70 2.5 Turbo. Let's talk about fuel efficiency before we start off with anything else. We completed our 100-kilometer test loop in this vehicle in eco mode in 7.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty good overall. It's kind of what you would expect from a compact executive car. Yeah, it's not got oodles of power. 300 horsepower is still very good, but it is on the comfort side of things. That's something that you'll notice right away, is this doesn't feel sporty. It doesn't feel super peppy. The engine is almost kind of laid back a little bit. You know, when you come to a stop, it doesn't get off the line right away, especially in normal mode. It just kind of gracefully gets up to speed, and that's fine because not everybody wants a performance vehicle. You don't necessarily need the 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. So having this now as an option, I think is really a good mix between sport and overall comfort. Now, yeah, if you want that sportier experience, you can go up to the sport model, get that engine. Or if you really need the sport, then you can go with a BMW M340i or Mercedes-AMG C43, which the G70 3.3 would be competing against, more or less. The numbers are much closer to that, really, than this is compared to the 330i and C300. I mean, this thing has a really good amount of power, and I mean, it's the features that come down to it, as well as the look and feel. I mean, I like the fact that everything in here has a premium touch to it. I remember when I got into the 2019 BMW 330i, and everything's like really cheap plastic. This, you know, while it's not all soft materials, the plastics are extremely high quality. You've got updated HVAC controls, similar to what we saw on the GV70, GV80, things like that. I like it, kind of a capacitive touch. You do get a little bit of feedback on it. I like it. Infotainment, one of the best in the industry, forget about the segment. And then, yeah, you only have half a digital gauge cluster, but that's fine. You've got all the information you really need. You don't need a whole lot more than that. Overall seat comfort is really good. Overall space on this is what you would expect from a compact executive car. You know, all the B-roll you're seeing, as I always say, I'm in the back seats filming it, so I am able to get into the back of this vehicle, which is quite surprising when you think about it. But I mean, there's so much to love about this car that, you know, it really is the best choice in the segment. I mean, I don't know why people aren't considering Genesis more. You know, they have so much to offer. We've loved absolutely every vehicle that we've driven from them. And the G70 just goes to show you that even at the smaller end of the segment, right? This is the entry level for Genesis. This is still a seriously good option. And at $58,000 Canadian, I mean, some consumer vehicles are getting up in that price range now. You know, if you were to go buy a compact crossover, some of them are already in the $50,000 price point. Why not just move up to a luxury vehicle? Yeah, I mean, you're getting so much for it. So I'm really impressed. Yeah, I always loved the G70. I thought it was a really sweet spot between the luxury and performance side of things. I was always curious to try out their entry level, even though this is the Prestige trim, so it is the second trim up from the top, but even the entry level is really well equipped. So you're getting the, you know, entry level engine, fully loaded for this engine, and there's nothing I'm missing. You know, you could go up and get the other sport features, but I think the big takeaway from this vehicle is the fact that you're getting so much for such an affordable price. Because, you know, I can't believe that a C300 Mercedes-Benz with more or less all the same stuff is $73,000 Canadian. A BMW 330i is $70,000 Canadian to get it about the same equipment. I mean, it's not even close. You know, there's certain features that car is going to have and this doesn't, but like, I mean, it's crazy to think about it. I mean, it's such an enormous price difference that it just makes sense. And it's why, you know, Genesis has had record sales years every single year, except for 2020. You know, nobody had record sales years that year, but pretty much every single year they've been around, they have been exceeding their previous year sales. 2023 was the best that they had, and I can expect even better in 2024. If they can get more of these out to customers and just be able to experience them and try them, they will absolutely love it. And I know you will too. If you are in the market for one of these types of vehicles, right? Anything else, it doesn't have to be the BMW, Mercedes. If you're looking at an Audi A4, if you're looking at, you know, Cadillac CT5, if you're looking at any of the other vehicles in this segment, there's a lot to choose from. They all have their little differences, but I'm telling you, like, this is a really good mix between having a luxury comfort experience, but you still have the power that you really want, because 300 horsepower out of a small vehicle like this is plenty, even though it doesn't feel that way. I mean, you've got sport mode. I could put it in sport mode. It's got fake sounds coming into it. You know, I could mash it. It makes tons of noise, and yeah, it gets up pretty well. But I've enjoyed this car in comfort mode. I haven't bothered really with sport mode, just for testing, just to really see how it did. But comfort mode's been it for me. Fuel economy has been pretty decent overall, and everything else about it has just been fantastic. I love the look of it, and I know that's a polarizing factor for some people. You know, it's either a love-hate relationship with this vehicle, and I love the look of it. I think Genesis design language is really good, and you know, when you compare it to other vehicles in the segment, you know, a lot of them, they don't really innovate too much, right? It's like, here's the design we've been doing for 30 years. We're going to change it up just a little bit, make it a little bit more modern. Or, you know, when it comes to the interior, let's just slap a big tablet, call it a day. But no, Genesis doesn't do that. And I hope they don't. As of right now, this is the setup we've got. I really, really like this because I don't need a 15-inch tablet in my infotainment area. I like this. I don't need to be using the infotainment as I'm going. Wired Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, that's fine. Works for me. That's all you need. And the infotainment, like I said, is very good. The navigation, I would almost use this over it if I didn't need the traffic, the real-time traffic driving through the greater Toronto area. But this is the car I would buy if I were in the market for a compact executive car. It is a no-brainer. This is the one I would choose. I wouldn't even waste my time with the Germans. This would be the one I would go buy. I would get it in probably this configuration. I do like the color combo. So sign me up, Genesis. This is the one I take. Once this vehicle's done on the press fleet, maybe I'll buy it from them. But it's really good. So if you haven't driven one of these before, if you're in the market for it, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting the chance to try it. You will not be disappointed. But as always, we do try to get back to everybody in the comments. We do get back as often as we can. We get a lot of comments. So if you've got something that you want to ask about when it comes to the Genesis G70 or anything else, we're always there. We're always listening to what you got to say. So leave a comment below. As I said at the beginning, don't forget to subscribe to this video, like it, hit the notification button as well. It helps us grow this channel and it helps us provide more free content for you. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.